Okay guys, today we'll be answering one of the largest questions out there. Intel versus AMD. So I know I've done a video on this before talking about it, but now I have a different point of view on it. So I was talking more about budget PCs last time, and not so much this time. So hopefully, if you are watching this, you have a larger budget than $100 for a CPU. So one of my old processors, the 9370 right here, was one of the best processors I had for that short, brief 2 weeks. It was really good. Like, I was able to play games on max graphics, but there were also downsides. I had to get 1,000+ power supply. I had to have an entire external house fan blowing on the back of the motherboard. And I was still pushing 70-80 degrees Celsius water cooled. And that processor, they listed at $270, $227.10. So today, I was gonna compare this one, the 9370, with the i7 6700K, but I already know that if I were to do it with the i7, it would just blow this out of the water. And then you guys are gonna say, well, the reason why that is because the AMD is 100 less than the Intel. So how about we do it nearly exactly the same? I'm going to be comparing the AMD 9590 versus the Intel i5 6600K. So they are almost the same price range. This one is $245 and this one is $230. So pretty much nearly the same price. So let's if I could open up a compare that compared. Alright, so let's find the i5 6700 and that. Boop. Let's compare. Alright, so first off, let's look. This one costs a little bit more, but also has free shipping. That's $2 shipping. That really doesn't make a difference. This one has achieved the Customer Choice Award. This has 5 eggs. That one only has 4 eggs. This one also has a few more reviews, though. Now, this, obviously they have 2 separate sockets because of this. One thing I would like to point out is that I rather install an Intel chip than an AMD chip, because an Intel chip doesn't have the nice little pointy little pins that the AMD chip has. If you just bend one slight pin on that AMD chip, or it comes like that from shipping, you can't use it, because there's no way that you're going to bend back that pin the way that it was to fit inside of the motherboard. Or if you do, it could possibly still have a damaged CPU. So, first of all, you guys are going to see that this one has 8 cores. And this one has 4 cores. This one has 8 threads. This one only has 4 threads. Obviously, they also have a large difference in gigahertz speed. This has a 4.7 gigahertz. This one has a 3.5 gigahertz. Now, yes, gigahertz speed is important, but it's not as important as this. So, it's like, take it as an example. You're running a race. One person has extremely long legs, and one person has extremely short legs. Now, the person with extremely long legs would be the person that could do more work for 1 gigahertz versus the one person that's using all these gigahertz like all this energy, but not going anywhere. So that's one of the issues with AMD, is that you're using all this energy, but yet you're still not producing the same effects as you're getting with Intel. Another thing, the wattage that this AMD chip sucks in is like 220 watts. For this Intel, it's like 91. It's only 91. This is 220. That's completely different. So let's continue. The L2 cache, this has 4 2 megabytes. Now that is way better than having 4 256,000 kilobytes. 256 kilobytes. And then this also has a larger cache than this one. But yet, how? This turbos to 3.9. This doesn't say right here, but this does turbo to 5 gigahertz. But there's no way that this thing is going to turbo if you're already exceeding 60, 70, 80 degrees Celsius on its stock speed. Because you have to have room to be able to cool if it's going to turbo. This would be able to easily turbo. Like mine turbos on a dime whenever I want it to. This also has Intel supported graphics on the chipset, and this one doesn't. So right here, if you don't feel like buying a graphics card, you don't have to. It's integrated with the chipset, while this one does not. So I have a few performance. Basically, excuse me. We're going to look for performance per cores. Now, obviously, since this has 8 cores and this only has 4 cores, you guessed it. Out of 10, this scored a 6.4 performance out of 10. Now, this has double the amount of cores as this and threads. And this chipset, the i5, was able to score a 5.6. So, almost 1 under, like 8 under, 0.8 under, isn't that bad. Especially since it has 4 less cores, 4 less threads. So that means cooling on this chip will be a lot easier. Now, the integrated graphics, this processor achieved an 8 out of 10. Now, that's pretty good, especially for integrated graphics and integrated GPU. But sadly, this achieved a 0 since it doesn't have it. Now, the single core performance, sadly, the AMD lost in this one. Or it was a very close tie. Basically, this AMD chip, this chip came out in, I believe, either 2011 or 2013. This chip came out the September of 2015. So it's a pretty new chip. But yet, AMD still has the balls to charge for this price, even though it's at least 3 years old. So I believe the i5 has better single core performance than the AMD, based on usage. Now, this the Intel also achieved better performance per watt, not by much, but it's still slightly. The FX got a 4.9, and the i5 only got a 5.1. Now, yeah, could the efficiency be a little bit higher? Yeah, but it's also better than the AMD. Now, the value, how much are you paying for a premium performance? The i5 achieved a 6. The AMD achieved a 5.3. So if you add up all these scores and average them out, the Intel achieved an 8.1 about, and the FX achieved a 5.4. Now, if you're still on a budget and you really don't care about, well, let's put it this way. Neither of these chipsets come with a stock air cooler. Well, unless you get the i5 6600, that comes with a stock air cooler, but not the K version. You could get a stock air cooler for both of these. This chipset would burn out. This one would not. This one will be sweating. You would have to have so many case fans that would be unbelievable. You would everyone that has this chipset usually has water cooling. This one you could get away with air cooling and you'd be fine. So, in my opinion, if you're working for excuse me, if you're doing gaming, you don't need 8 cores. This has 8 cores. Gaming only uses 4. Besides the few titles of gaming that there are, those few games that take advantage of 8 cores, most of them don't. So, this is all in my opinion, but hey, if you guys are really on a budget, I would suggest going for an AMD. But if you're going for a premium chip, a high performance chip, anything above $150, I would suggest to get an Intel chip. Now, if you're getting an A series because you're on a budget and you're not playing very serious games, like maybe like League of Legends, Minecraft, yeah, an A series chip with an okay graphics card will just do fine. But getting these high-end AMD chips are not worth it. So there we go, guys. That's my conclusion on AMD versus Intel. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.